All right. It's Massive Action Monday, y'all. What is going on? My name is Chris Williams. You have arrived with the Grow Your Side Business podcast, where we are here to help you grow your side business. Man, you can find us on all platforms. I appreciate you being here for Massive Action Monday because one thing that I have found is true is that sometimes the answers we're looking for are staring us right in our face. So before we get started, feel free to lock into this channel. I've got a lot of great things that I'm going to be announcing here really soon. I cannot wait to share some of those updates with you. For one, just to kind of give you a hint, I've got some new content that's going to be coming out that's going to be made available for you. And in fact, I'm going to give you early bird access. So if you've been with the channel, if you are subscribed, and if you are on our email list, you're going to actually get access to that information before we release it to the public. So I really want you to make sure that you are subscribed and that you get on our email list, because you are going to get access to some brand new content that we're going to be releasing here in the next about month or so. And I cannot wait for you to see it. And it's really going to help you. If you're looking to, really grow your side business, if you're trying to figure out, like, how do I navigate my corporate world, if you're looking for the community, right, of people who are right where you are, and you want to be able to work with people who have either done it or right there with you, and you really want to have a great community, you should jump in. So with that being said, let's dive into today's conversation, because I want to actually walk you through, you saw the title, and the title is as it sounds, right? Like, what's the number one thing about selling that, nobody's telling you about, right? Like, what is that thing? And this is a secret that was exposed to me by my business coach. And so I've been trying to figure out, like, well, how do I make sure that my audience gets the chance to see this information and learn, like, how to leverage this too, right? So I wanted to break this down for you to begin with. And so in order to start, let me kind of state this. One of the things that I have found in my own business was that for the longest time, what I had been doing was just focusing on just selling a product or a service, right? And so what I mean by that is, what I was only after was, and I'll just kind of share this so that way you can get an understanding. I want you to think about your business, your side business, as I go through this. But for the longest with the podcast, what I had been doing was I was only talking about, subscribing, right? I had only been really pushing that, right? I hadn't even really been talking about really anything else. I had just been talking about that. Or maybe you're a person, and maybe with your business, the only thing you have is like one product, right? You're selling a course, right? You're selling a book, right? Like you're selling one thing. And I found out something that you probably have figured out with your business and you didn't know what it was. And this is what I figured out. I was trying to understand, why is it that it's so hard for me to sell a lot of this one thing? But I see people selling their product and service like in droves. And I was trying to figure out, what is the difference between the way I'm doing it and the way everybody else was doing it, right? Like, I don't know about you, but obviously we got into business to be able to, make money. And we got into business to be able to build a business. And what I couldn't figure out was, how is it that everybody else seems to be able to build their business? How is it that other people to be able to get, whatever, they're charging, all of that stuff, right? I was really curious, and I had tried everything. I remember for a while, I was thinking with the podcast, it was going to be about ads, right? And then ads didn't work. And then I thought with the podcast, well, maybe, I could sell some package of some sort. And then that didn't work, right? Like, I was going through every single thing I could think through. Then I was like, well, maybe if I get the guest on and the guest will do things. And that kind of moved the needle a little bit, but that still didn't do it, right? So here's what I found out. And this is something that I learned from my business coach, Myron. And when he said this, I didn't get it the first time. It took me 2 or 3 times to hear it. And I went, oh my gosh, I am suffering from something that the big boys are doing the right way. And I could do it even at my scale with a podcast. So let me explain what I mean. What I realized is that what we've got to learn to do, and I'm gonna just write this up here. Here's the key, y'all. This key, if you apply this to your business, I promise you it will change the way you do everything from this conversation on, right? Here's what I figured out. I want you to think about your dating life. And I know you're like, Chris, what the heck does that have to do with dating life? Just think about this for a second. I want you to think about when you met your wife, when you met your boo thing, right? When you all started, when you were attracted to each other, you had to make sure that you were doing something. So there's kind of a process to dating, right? What is that process? Well, and I'm gonna come back to this in a second. But basically, the first thing you do is you have to be attracted to the person, right? That would be kind of important. If I'm not attracted to you, then we ain't got nothing to talk about, right? But then after you're attracted, there's gotta be a way that I can go from attraction to the very next step, which would be some sort of a conversation, right? So you need a way to start the convo, right? Obviously, if we're dating, I'm gonna get your phone number, right? I'm gonna follow you on Instagram. I'm gonna find your LinkedIn. I'm gonna find out where you are, and I'm gonna start having a conversation with you, right? But here's the question. The question is it possible that somebody could be attracted and get to the next step and maybe start the conversation, but we never get to the third level, which is more important? Well, what is the third level? What's the third part of this conversation? If I'm talking to you, right? I'm trying to get my wife, right? And I'm attracted to her. Somehow I got to get her attention, right? So even before, this, I got to get attention, right? I got to be able to get her attention somehow. So I got to do something, get her attention. Then I get the attraction, and then I got to start a conversation. But after that, how do I get my wife to stick around? Well, it's a 4-letter word, y'all. We have to date. And you know what I figured out? What I figured out was that the big companies have learned this game masterfully, and they run it every day. So what's got to happen? Like, what's the number one secret of selling, right? That we're not meant to know when we start our side business? Is that what you're really after is getting them to buy more than once. I'm going to tell you, y'all, I wish I understood this principle when the first thing I did. Meaning, when I was in high school and selling popsicle sticks and, all the things, right? My point is, I wish I understood this principle because it's a serious principle for business. See, we get excited about selling to somebody one time. And we go, I made a sale. Wow, listen, you need that euphoric feeling. Wow, you need to know that rush. It's also kind of bad because if you only build, here's the problem. If you only build a product or service and they only buy one time, they're never coming back. They don't have a reason to. See, what I realized was, okay, wait a minute. What I have to offer Like I remember, I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, and I was learning, getting my hustle on in Atlanta. And I remember working for Kirby Vacuums. Y'all remember Kirby Vacuums? Yeah, I worked for Kirby Vacuums in Atlanta, right? And so I remember when I was working for Kirby Vacuums, one of the things that we would have to do is go do these product demonstrations. And the way we would find people to do product demonstrations was I would ride around the city of Atlanta and I would look for new subdivisions. Now, why would you go look at new subdivisions if you're trying to sell a vacuum? Because here's the thing. One of the marketing strategies at the time, which was absolutely hilarious, even as I say this, and this was actually kind of genius and smart. The new person who's moving into a new house does not think their carpet is dirty. They don't think that the carpet is dirty. So they think I got a brand new house. I got clean carpet because they got that new house clean smell. In actuality, the carpet is pretty dirty. So here's what we used to do, right? This is pretty cool. So I learned how to run this play where I'd ride around, right? And my objective was to see somebody moving in, right? And I would have to get out the car, introduce myself, have some sort of way to get their attention, right? Attract them, start the conversation. And my whole goal was I had to be able to get in the house. If I could get in the house, I'm selling that vacuum. Like it was kind of crazy, right? Like that's what I did. That was one of the hustles I did in Atlanta, right? So I would go into, so basically I go into these neighborhoods and I'm looking for people moving in. And I would do one or two things. How am I going to get their attention? Well, it's kind of creepy if somebody random that you don't know is moving into the area driving up, right? So I would do one or two things. If they seemed friendly when I waved at them, I would say, welcome to the neighborhood. They don't know I don't live in the neighborhood, but it's always cool when somebody's nice to say, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. My name is Chris. And I'm in the moment, I'm prejudging. If they blow me off, then I just keep it moving. But if they say, hey, thanks for, hey, my name is, Katie, my name is Todd, right? And I knew, I got their attention. And they're like, hey, do you live in the neighborhood? I say, well, no, I don't live too far from here, but I actually work for Kirby Vacuums. Have you ever heard of Kirby Vacuums? I didn't say those exact words, but I'm just coming this up, right? So then they would say, no, and I say, when is the last time you purchased a vacuum? Like, oh, the old one that we have is good. And then I would make my proposal. I'm trying to grab their attention. I'm like, hey, if I can show you that your carpet is actually dirty now, even though it's brand new, would you at least be willing to take a look at some of the new things that we have going on? They'd go, okay. Or what I was doing was I was looking to see what the makeup of the family was. I was looking for the people moving into a neighborhood that had a little baby. Because what a baby's gonna do, crawl on the floor. Well, if I could get in the house, and our demonstration of the Kirby vacuum was interesting. It was this it had a little, we had this little, like on the edge of the bottom of the vacuum, we could put a little filter in. And as the air, as it was sucking up the dirt off the vacuum, they could see it spinning in there. And then I would pull out the filter and they see all this dirt and they go, oh my God, we need 10 of them, right? And I would sell them a Kirby vacuum. And if y'all don't know, Kirby vacuums were expensive then. It's like buying a Dyson vacuum now. Like I'm talking like $1,500, right? Just for a vacuum, right? Like, but I was selling them, right? I got kind of good at it. And somebody actually owes me money because the guy that I was working with, the rep that I was working with at his office, I showed up at his office one day. I had sold like 10 Kirby vacuums and the joker left with all my money. You still owe me some money. But anyway, the whole point is that like I was selling these vacuums. So what did I have to do? I had to get their attention. I had to make them attracted to what I had. And my biggest goal was to get them to start a conversation. And then getting me in the house, that was my date. That was us dating, right? And I didn't have long to impress them. So I had to have something to impress them. Why am I going through all of that? I'm going through all of that because I want you to start thinking about the same thing when it comes to your business. if you don't have a way to get their attention, if you don't have a way to attract people, and if you don't know a good system to be able to start a conversation with people, you will only, if you get lucky, it doesn't matter what your product or service is, you only sell it one time. If you get lucky. So then I had that realization, like, wait a second, what is it that other people are doing that is making it so that not only they may get the sale, but they're keeping them? Like, how is that possible? Here's the play. This blew my mind when I figured this out. All right. I want you to think about right now your favorite company and what they have to offer. So let's just use your telecommunications company. Let's use AT&T. Okay, we're going to use AT&T. We have AT&T, right? We're going to use AT&T. Okay. Now, AT&T has made some strides in the last 20 to 30 years because originally, right, the only thing you could get from them was a phone line. Now, why did I say a phone line? So for those of you who might be too young, our version of long distance was buying that long distance extension cord from like Walmart that was like 30 feet and it could wrap around the house twice. That was our version of long distance. But back then, they were only able to sell a phone line. So their whole goal was to get you, a phone line installed in your house, right? Well, as technology grew and things grew, they were able to do something so that they could sell to you more than just one thing. Well, when cell phones came out, what did they start selling? They sold cellular devices, and they sold minutes, right? Y'all remember having to buy minutes on your cell phone, right? Yeah, let me show you this. This is gonna blow your mind. When you see this, you're gonna be like, why does he still have this? Y'all, I have something that y'all might remember was the best thing on the planet, and you felt like the man or the woman when you had it. Bam! You see that? What is that, y'all? Yeah, it's a BlackBerry, y'all. It's literally a BlackBerry. And now you might be wondering, like, what, Chris? How in the world do you still have a BlackBerry? I use this in a lot of conversations because there's so many things we could talk about BlackBerry, not seeing the market changing, not thinking they could go down, becoming the big dog and getting comfortable. There's so many things that we could talk about. But being able to offer a service, right? Cellular devices and buying minutes, right? Like y'all remember having y'all BlackBerry, you felt all important, right? But we were buying minutes, right, for a while, right? So they sold you the device and they sold you minutes. Well, now what do they sell? They sell internet, right? They sell business plans, right? You can buy more than one thing, right? They sell a lot of different things. What is my point? They are no longer in the business of selling one thing. Oh man. Okay. So I just realized that my audio levels were going out. So not sure how much got missed, but the joys of doing live, right? So I'll come back and I'll put something together so that you can learn from this a whole lot quicker, and then we'll go from there. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, and we'll recreate this video here shortly.